Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining. This is going to be a great evening. I can feel it. Hopefully you'll be able to feel it as well. So I'm excited, and let's get going. So I need you to do one thing right now. What I need you to do is email your friends and text your friends to join us. Remember, email and text your friends now to join us. My name is Ed Vargas, and I say we shall never forget, and we still have a lot of work to do. Way back when I was a union organizer for the International Lady Garment Workers Union, now known as Workers United, I have participated in hundreds of picket lines for the fight for the rights of workers to join a union to collectively bargain for decent wages, good health care, and safe working conditions. Today, I continue to help workers across the state of New York through the New York State Department of Labor. For more than 45 years, every March 25th, going back when he was an organizing director for the ILGW Local 2325, Edgar would beat me. Remember, he would beat me because we didn't have cell phones in those days. He told me to meet him on the corner of Washington and Green. Here at the Ash Building, we would commemorate the 146 workers of the tragic Triangle Fire, some who jumped from their desks from this very building. We did this every year, knowing that some stories, those that touch our core, needed to be told again and again to be kept alive. Edgar always said, we will remember the past, fight like hell for the present, and work for the future as we lay a wreath to honor those workers. Ours is a lifelong partnership, and it is my pleasure to introduce the Secretary-Treasurer of Workers United, my friend, Edgar Romney.
Thank you, Eddie. Hello, everyone. Lynn Fox, President of Workers United, Vinny Alvarez, President of the New York City Central Labor Council, and I want to welcome you to the commemoration of the 110th anniversary of the Triangle Fire. I'm at the original site of the fire at Washington Place and Green Street in New York City. As Eddie mentioned, he and I have been coming here to commemorate this tragic event for over 45 years. Our union, my local union in fact, Local 25 of the ILGWU, now Workers United, was trying to organize the Triangle Fire workers 110 years ago. You will hear about that struggle and the struggle of today's workers, organizing for safer working conditions, better wages, dignity, and respect. This event is part of my union's history, and that is why we come together every March 25th. We are honored that you could join us. Today, we have with us people from all over the world, essential workers, Triangle family members, authors, artists, musicians, actors, compassionate public servants, religious leaders, teachers and students, immigrants, disability and workers' rights activists, union organizers, labor leaders, and many more. We have a wonderful program filled with videos, music, and the words of frontline workers telling us about their lives, their challenges, and what they need us to do to support their essential work. I want to thank all of those who made this program possible. Ruth Sergel, May Chen, Esther Cohn, Sherry Kane, Lulu Lolo, Betty Yu, Gary Shoykett, the Resistance Revival Chorus, Rachel Perez, and the terrific teams from Workers Circle, Labor Arts, the Remember the Triangle Fire Coalition, the New York City Central Labor Council, and Workers United. Today, we will remember the past by honoring the dead. We will fight like hell for the present by supporting workers in their current struggles. And we will work for a future that is more just, where workers receive the dignity and respect that they deserve. We will end our program, as always, with the reading of the names of the Triangle victims. This year, we have gathered pictures from 146 people from around the world, each holding a sign with the name of one of the Triangle victims. Because of the importance of the Triangle Fire in my life, I am honored that Workers United is supporting Remember the Triangle Coalition's efforts to build a permanent memorial to the victims and legacy of the Triangle Fire on this very site. This will be one of the few memorials to honor workers, women, and immigrants. So please remember, visit thetrianglefire.org to find out more about how you can support this long overdue effort. Thank you again for being here and joining us, our Triangle family, and see you at the memorial.
The Triangle Waste Company was located in the top 3 floors of the Ash Building at the corner of Washington Place and Green Street, just 1 block east of Washington Square Park. The bosses and shipping were on the 10th floor. Beneath them, on the 8th and 9th floors, were hundreds of workers cutting and sewing shirtwaists. Most of them were young Jewish or Italian-American immigrants. Many of the workers were family members, friends, and neighbors. On March 25th at closing time, a fire broke out on the 8th floor. The brief moment between the start of the fire and when it began to spread gave most of these workers the chance to escape. A call was made to the 10th floor to warn the bosses, and all but one on that floor also got out. On the 9th floor, there was no warning as the fire spread beneath them. In an instant, they were engulfed in flames. The workers raced to find a path to escape. Some ran to the Washington Place exit, only to find the door locked. Not a single worker would escape through that exit. The owners would later testify they were trying to prevent theft. Others ran for the fire escape, which quickly clogged with workers desperate to get out. The fire escape broke away from the building, dropping them to their death. The brave elevator operator ran as long as he could, but he was no match for the fast-spreading fire. Soon, workers were leaping into the elevator shaft to escape. When a barrel of machine oil exploded by the last remaining exit, the workers were trapped. On the street, witnesses saw the windows filled with desperate workers. Some were alone, some holding hands, when they began to jump. They hit so hard that a few smashed right through the pavement. There was a moment of hope when the fire truck arrived and quickly raised its ladder, but it only reached the 6th floor, well below the burning loft. Some workers tried to leap for the ladder, but missed and fell to the pavement below. In less than half an hour, 146 young workers had perished. This is the 9th floor. This is the 10th floor. This is the fire escape. This is the pavement they crashed through. These are the witnesses. These are some of the Triangle dead.
Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took it back. Took back my dignity. Took it back. Took back my humanity. Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took it back.
Resistance Revival Chorus is happy to be here with you today to honor the memory of the 146 victims of the Triangle Fire and to stand with workers everywhere who continue to fight for fair wages and working conditions, for health care, and for justice for all.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Bates. I'm a worker at the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Bessemer, Alabama. The reason why we're fighting to unionize is because we deserve dignity and respect in the workplace. That comes with equality, that comes with a safe and better working condition. It comes with job security, and it also comes with a living wage and not just a minimum wage. How others can continue to support us? Continue to use your social media platforms via videos or messages, or just standing in solidarity with us. We remember all the workers who came before us. We remember their struggles, their strengths, and their sacrifices. We remember the workers who perished in the Triangle Fire.
My name is Suzanne Predbass. I am a longstanding original member of the Remember the Triangle Fire Coalition, and I have two great aunts that were in the Triangle Factory fire. My great aunt Rosie Weiner, who died in the fire, and my great aunt Katie Weiner, who survived the fire by grabbing the cable of the last elevator to leave the 9th floor. And my great aunt Rosie, who I never met, but I carry inside of me, she was trapped behind a locked door, the locked door that so many people, including my great aunt Katie, tried to open and couldn't get through. She was not talked about in my family. I think it was way too painful. And nobody wanted us children to have these images. It was fine to know about Katie's heroic escape, but not to know about Rosie. And I am so grateful that I have a photo of Rosie and that I do know about her, that somehow, and though I can't pinpoint the exact moment I learned about her, but I do know about her. I still grieve for her. I think this is the legacy for all the family members today who have had relatives who died in the fire, but at these terribly young ages, these vibrant spirits were essentially murdered because this was preventable. One of the things as a member of the Remember the Triangle Fire Coalition, I have been dedicated to, and we all have been dedicated to, is the building of a memorial on the actual site of the fire. This is so overdue and has such great meaning personally to me, but I think to all the family members. Starts at the 9th floor where most of the people died and goes down in like a ribbon around the 1st floor of the building. The names of all of the victims will be etched in a panel above another panel, and the light and the sky will then be reflected on a lower panel. So this memorial is a shout out, and a reclaiming, a remembering of this horrible tragedy that spawned great changes in the lives of workers. But tragically, and the way we don't often learn from history, it also stands as a reminder of the work that's still ahead of us.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keeps telling me, don't you hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me right back on my knees. Oh, there've been times that I thought I wouldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will.
You know, it breaks my heart when I go in the morning and I see so many call bells going off, and it's not enough hands on deck to really answer these calls. You know, for me, walking down those hallways and have to choose which light I should attend to first, because I know the needs of these people. Looking down the hallway and see so many people sitting in a wheelchair or maybe even in the dining room after we give them breakfast, we can't attend to them right away and come back because we have so much to do. And I think it's really hard and bearing in on our residents. It's heartfelt that we can't afford to give them the kind of care because of the fact that we're caught up in doing so many things when the day comes and so less hands to take care of what we have to do. These people depend on us. They're here because they can't help themselves and they need our help. You know, it brings me back, you know, when I think about the COVID, I think about the people with the Triangle factory, people who worked in that factory way back then in 1911. You know, if people thought more about the safety of each other and not concerned about whether or not if they will be able to hide on the stairwells and take their breaks and they're stealing time and they left those doors open, those 146 people would have been alive to continue enjoying their families. And it's the same thing. If we continue to give those PPEs to protect each other, we will be here today to stand with each other.
The employees thought because we are Chinese and because we are women that we won't fight back. The employees thought we could be persuaded to take less and to give up some of our rights as workers. They attacked our union and said the workers had no voice in union policy and decision making. The employers even said that they could look out for the workers' interests better than the people we elected to lead our union.
But we really enjoyed those days, walking up and down with the organizers and sweating around.
The other thing we did in the shops, though, was to go around when we had a rally or a picket line or a demonstration and stop the shop and get everybody to come down to the rally. So that was fun too.
benefit 得啦，樣我都藍十字啊，嗰啲啊，佢話即係啲價錢啊唔啱啊，嗰啲咪要咩咯，係咁咯，咁得。快啲入去！快啲入去！
阿嬸啊，你今日出嚟做乜啊？嚟呢度做乜啊？歡迎啊！係最少啊！佢裝得嘅牛咪最好睇啊！係啦，工人福利咯。我咧就工廠嘅代表走咗。
Our workers think I'm concerned with shop conditions, so they elected me chair lady. I get the message from the union to my co-workers, like information about union benefits and activities.
對呢個新嘅合約嘅發生嘅時候
I tried to talk my boss into signing the contract, but he didn't want to give in. All the workers in the shop support the union. They even said they won't work anymore if he refused to sign the contract.
嗰輪報拍，佢哋寫得一沓嘢咁高。要我出去講，我話嘥氣，我講咩啊？我好簡單講呢個，我工人應該要團結，我哋啲工人係靠一個人嘅力量唔得，我哋要全體工人45000幾個工人出嚟。呢個合約
We are very angry about the actions of a small handful of employers in the recent days. Enough is enough. They have faked their desire to negotiate, and in the end, they rejected the contract for the second time.
So the boss, after they sign the contract, so they means that they agree that they will giving out all the benefits.
When I look at you, I look into the eyes of the ancestors, the people who worked in the fields or the mines or the factories, the works in the homes of others, the ones who sweated day and night without weekends or sick days or holidays. We are the survivors, and we have work to be done. Because in our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We will bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old. You can join hands. For the union makes us strong. And that's why we sing solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. Go in peace. Go in love. Go in solidarity.
My name is Bill Swersey, and my great-grandfather, Louis Rosen, was a victim in the Triangle Shirtwaist factory fire. He was originally from a small town outside of, in the region of Kiev, Ukraine, came to the United States just 3.5 months before the fire in December. The fire was in March. And so he had only been here for a very, very, very short time before the fire happened, which is sort of hard to imagine. Just beginning to get your legs on the ground in a new country with 2 young children. My grandmother was 1.5 years old when they came here. One day he went to work and didn't come back. What I know about the fire is that there was a huge outpouring of support across New York City and maybe across the country for the victims' families. So my family received some of that attention and aid, and I'm sure it made a huge difference to my great-grandmother, who was left to care for 2 young children. I know that my father carried it with him in a much, much more significant way. And he had a career as an inventor, and in particular, he designed and manufactured medical equipment. And really one of the first things he did when he was a young inventor was design some equipment to help burn victims. And he spoke about that over his life, saying, well, of course, that was because my grandfather died in the fire. It was really not until the 100th anniversary that I began to really understand and learn more about the fire. And more recently, in the last 6 years, I've worked for HIAS. HIAS was formed in the late 1800s in New York by Jewish immigrants. HIAS would literally meet people at the docks. HIAS helped people find jobs and help them find places to live and help them get oriented. Today, we don't work with very many Jewish refugees. So now we're a Jewish organization that helps refugees as opposed to an organization that helps Jewish refugees. I can only imagine what life was like for refugees in the early part of the 20th century. And uprooting yourself, whether it's for economic reasons or because you were persecuted or because war came to your country, is such a massive thing. and it always was, and it still is. Being forced to flee and leaving behind what you knew and what you had. Most people leave with a suitcase or 2 at the most, and that's true today as well.
Mi nombre es Araceli Torres. Soy trabajadora en un salón de uñas. Pertenezco a la asociación Nail Salon Workers. Como muchos saben, en la industria de salones de uñas ha habido mucho robo de salario. No se cuenta con el equipo adecuado. Es por eso que junto con otras trabajadoras estamos luchando por que pase una ley donde los dueños se hagan responsables. La ley de responsabilidad de dueños de salones de uñas. Por eso pedimos el apoyo de ustedes para que pongan presión a sus representantes y para que esta ley pase. Sabemos que sin su apoyo no será posible, pero seguiremos luchando. Ahora, después de 100 años, donde murieron más de 146 mujeres trabajadoras, las recordamos y vemos que las condiciones no han cambiado. Seguimos en la lucha. Es tiempo de un cambio. Recordemos a las Triangle Fire.
To the promised land. To the promised land. The night is long, but no one sleeps. The grifters make us pay. And torches burn and mothers weep. Deliver us from Judgment Day. Don't it feel like home? Don't it feel like we belong? You gotta lift your head and raise your hand and crawl into the promised land. Don't it feel like home? Don't it feel like we belong? You gotta lift your head and raise your hand and crawl into the promised land.
Good evening. I'm Roberta Reardon, the Commissioner for the New York State Department of Labor. It is an honor for me to share this virtual stage with so many of my friends and colleagues, near and far, as we remember the victims who perished in this horrific tragedy that forever changed the fight for worker protections. As we remember the Triangle workers who died needlessly in the fire, we must also remember the uprising of 20,000 workers who attempted to prevent this tragedy. Just over a year before the fire, tens of thousands of workers, mostly women garment workers, who were led by a brave 23-year-old named Clara Lemlich, went on an 11-week strike across the city to demand better pay, safer working conditions, and the right to unionize. The strikers won only a portion of their demands because the owners of the Triangle Waist Company and other male-owned garment businesses used every tool available to them, both legal and illegal, to fight against unionization. The Triangle workers did everything right. They stood for their rights as long as they could, but without public support, they were forced to settle. However, the uprising and the loss of so many lives in the Triangle Fire sparked 5 years of revolt that transformed the garment industry into one of the best organized trades in the United States. The Triangle Fire challenges all of us to do our part, to stand with our sisters and brothers and fight for social and economic justice and the safety of our workplaces. One of the most important parts of our annual commemoration is to honor each and every Triangle worker who perished by name. And we hold each of these 146 Triangle workers in our hearts. This year, we have invited 146 essential workers, organizers, Triangle family members, and students to honor the innocent victims of the Triangle tragedy. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire is a sobering reminder that the heart of our mission at the Department of Labor is to protect and empower workers. And we must continue to fight to ensure that no worker suffers as these workers suffered. The memory of those lost here so many years ago shall remain forever in our minds as we take bold action to continue to protect workers in the state of New York. Please join me in remembering the victims of the fire and their families as we honor their legacy.
Good evening to everyone. My name's Lynn Fox, and I have the honor of serving as the International President for Workers United. And I want to thank Edgar Romney, my good friend and the Secretary Treasurer of Workers United, and also Ed Vargas, a good friend and ally, for keeping the flame lit and for bringing us all together year after year to remember the 146 workers, the souls that we carry on all of our shoulders now, who perished because their bosses were more interested in profits than in the welfare and safety of their employees who were so young. Those of us in Workers United know that our union was created out of the flames and ashes of the Triangle Fire. And although our predecessors were unable to prevent the Triangle tragedy, we spent every day thereafter working towards making sure that such a tragedy never happens again. After the fire, labor, the community, and the government worked together to implement fire and safety laws so that this would not happen again. But it should never take the loss of lives or even the loss of one life to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of workers in the workplace. Over the years, thousands of workers have lost their lives across the world, and they've died because of a lack of health and safety laws in their country. These workers, like all workers, must have the right to have their voices heard in the workplace. Today, workers at an Amazon facility in Alabama are fighting for their voice in the workplace. They're trying to unionize in order to gain the dignity, respect, fair pay, and safe working conditions that they deserve. Our union, Workers United, represents warehouse workers, and so we stand with those workers in Alabama. And today, garment workers in Myanmar are fighting for their rights. They're taking to the streets to hold companies, many of them headquartered in the US and Europe, accountable for their working conditions. Our union, which represents garment workers, stands with those workers as well. The Triangle Fire reminds us that when workers are not respected and safety is ignored, it's the workers who pay the price. Whether it's in New York City in 1911 or Bessemer, Alabama in 2021, Workers United continues to lift up the voices of all workers. We speak for those who have lost their lives, and we amplify the voices of those who continue to fight today. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Together, we must make sure that all workers have fair wages, safe working conditions, dignity, and respect. We honor those who lost their lives, we remember them, and we will see you next year and the year after and every year after that as we continue to keep this flame alive.